In this video, we will discuss creating alignments using the fixed, floating, and free methods. If you'd like to follow on with this video, please open the file 0604 creating alignments-fixed, floating, and free methods.dwg located in the training folder as discussed in the Working with this Dataset video. As mentioned in the constraints video, there are many ways to constrain the different parts of your alignment. Civil3d provides tools that enable you to do this to your horizontal elements. Let's discuss how to do this. First, let's go ahead and create a new alignment based on a line that we have created in our drawing that comes from the existing centerline. I'll go to the Alignment drop-down in the Create Design panel and select Create Alignments from Objects. Notice the object types that you can select, line, arcs, and polylines, and you can even select objects in an XREF. I'll just zoom in here and select this line, press Enter, and notice how it prompts me to accept the alignment direction. In this case, this is incorrect. So I need to reverse this direction based on how it was created. I'll simply click on reverse and it automatically will generate the alignment and you're prompted with the create alignment from objects. So we're going to create the same exact alignment. We'll call this one bypass 1. Starting station of 0. We are not going to put this alignment into a site. This is the style we want to use, which is layout. We'll select the major, minor, horizontal, vertical, and geometry and super elevation points label set, which will provide labels that will automatically appear as we create our alignment. Although we'll keep this toggled on, it will not generate a curve as there are no curves that we have selected between two lines. We will keep our existing entity and click OK. We now have an initial alignment with just the tangent. So now what I want to do is I want to create another tangent to begin the next segments of our alignment. To edit your alignment or add any elements to it, select the alignment, and in the Contextual tab, select Geometry Editor. The tools to the left here are the PI tools, which we covered in the Creating Alignments by PI Method video. These tools here provide tools to create different segments like drawing lines and arcs, but constraining them with the different methods. So you'll first notice this linear drop-down, fixed, floating, and free. And then we have this curve segment, which is fixed, floating, and free curves. And then we have some additional spiral tools. So let's go ahead and just create a fixed line, 2 points. Now, it does matter in which direction you draw the actual lines or arcs. If you do make a mistake, there is a reverse sub-entity direction. So I'm going to just snap to the center of this circle to draw that first tangent. And this first instance is the PI. This second instance is actually the PC that I'm snapping to. I'll press Enter. Notice how we have no stationing because they are not connected. So now let's go ahead and select the free curve fillet between two entities, defining a radius as well. Again, when you don't know what to do, look to the command line window. Select first entity. This is just like the standard AutoCAD fillet command. I'll select this one, and then this tangent is the curve less than or greater than. In this case, it's less than. And then what's our radius? But notice the options available. You can define by curve length, tangent length, chord length, mid-ordinate distance, external, or degree of curvature. In this case, the radius is 850 feet. Press Enter, and there's our radius. If you press Enter again, notice how the stationing updates. By stationing updating, you know that your alignment is continuous. If you do not have stationing or labeling, then you know that somewhere you've made a mistake and you need to delete sub-entities and recreate your information. Let's go ahead and create this next horizontal element. We want to create a floating curve, and I happen to have the distance. So in this case, this is not the PI, this is the PC. So I need to generate a floating curve off of this line. So this tangent will be its constraint. I will select the More Floating Curves, and then I want to do a from entity end, radius, and length. So I have the end, which of course is the endpoint of the tangent. I have a radius, and I will have a length as well. Again, look to the command line window when you don't know what to do. Select entity to attach to. I want to attach it to here. Should it go clockwise or counterclockwise? So that's right or left. In this case, it's clockwise. We'll specify a radius, which in this case, it is 500. And then what's the curve length? So in this case, I know it. But if I don't, I could actually snap from here and then define a length dynamically within Civil3d. So the length is 167.78. Press Enter. Press Enter again. The stationing continues. And notice as I select the grips, this object is now constrained by this tangent. As I move the tangent, it will move with it because I have defined a floating curve. Now what I want to do is I want to select this alignment again, and I will click on Geometry Editor. Sometimes if this gets grayed out, just select it again and select Geometry Editor. I want to select the fixed line, 2 points, and I'll simply snap to the endpoint of that. And then this happens to be the PI of this next curve. Click there, press enter, the stationing continues. Now what I want to do is I want to create another floating curve, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and guess it because I have this ending tangent that I can use, and I want to create a reverse curve from that other curve. So let's go ahead and select the More Floating Curves, Floating Curve Entity End, Radius and Length, and I'll select my entity to attach to, and this too is clockwise. And then the radius is 500 as well. So notice how it's already in the less than and greater than, so I can actually just press enter. Now I want to just kind of eyeball this. So I'll simply snap to the endpoint of my line here. And notice how the length automatically just appears at the end of my cursor. So I'll just click in space, press enter, and we have our stationing, updating automatically. Now I want to actually use this line as my ending tangent. And what's really cool is the fact that right in your toolbar, you have this Convert AutoCAD Line and Arc tool that you can convert while you're in the middle of creating your alignment. So I'll go ahead and select that. I'll make my tangent the last tangent in the alignment. It doesn't station because it's not connected yet. But now what I want to do is I want to create a free curve fillet between two entities, and I'm actually going to make a reverse curve from this curve to this tangent. So I'll select my first entity, which is the curve. I'll select the next entity, which is the tangent. And notice how it first prompts you for a solution angle, which in this case it is less than. But because it knows you selected a curve initially, you can create either a compound curve or a reverse curve. So I want to pick a reverse curve. I know that the radius is 700, so I'll type in 700, press enter, and just like that, I now have my completed alignment using standard 2D constraint type tools. As you select your alignment, if you wanted to make minor edits to it, you will notice that the grips appear at the correct spots based on the constraints that were applied to them. So as you can see here, I'm getting this grip here because it was constrained to this object. The same thing applies to this one. As I select this one here, this too will also be constrained to that object. If you want to change any of the constraint types and their relationships to each of the other horizontal elements, you can select the horizontal element editor, and then within here, I can actually define and change how I want these objects to be applied. So I can just change that like that, and now these objects are completely tangent and constrained appropriately. Also note, you can still change the same exact settings that you were able to change with the PI method. Some additional values will be here as well because this was defined as a floating curve and I can change the actual length if I wanted to. Again, because it's constrained on both sides, if I change the length here, it will actually update on both sides. If you mess up at all, you can simply hit the undo button here as well. That will undo your previous alignment edit. This concludes this video discussing creating alignments using the fixed, floating, and free methods.